What do Kevin Conroy's Batman and Mark Hamill's Joker have in common? Well, besides being Gotham's most iconic frenemies, they were both casted by the brilliant Andrea Romano, the genius behind the voices of Batman the Animated Series. Andrea Romano isn't just any old voice director. She's one of the greats in the animation world. Her work on Batman the Animated Series is a perfect example of her incredible talent. With a keen ear for casting and excellent direction, Romano handpicked the voices that would become the definitive Batman and Joker for so many fans. She knew exactly who could bring Gotham's most unforgettable characters to life, and the results are still being praised to this very day. Hey, I'm Socks, and today we're deep diving into the legendary story of Andrea Romano and how her casting decision and direction forever changed the face of Batman. Romano began her career in the entertainment industry in the early 1980s, initially working at Hanna-Barbera, where she learned the ins and outs of animation production and casting. Her early work involved coordinating talent and finding voices for numerous animated projects, such as The Smurfs, The Flintstone Kids, and The Jetsons. Unfortunately, her time at Hanna-Barbera was cut short, as the majority of the executive staff left for other companies, and she began to feel like she was losing her place at Hanna-Barbera. But you know the saying, as one door closes, another one opens up, as Warner Brothers came calling with their plan to revolutionize the cartoons in the early 1990s. Her off-the-wall performance on Tiny Toon Adventures garnered the attention of two industry shakers, Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski. The dynamic duo gave Romano the keys to the Batcave as the casting and vocal director of Batman the Animated Series, tasked to find the voices of Gotham's iconic characters that fit well in this new noir-influenced vision of Batman. At first, it seemed daunting as the show was a far departure from the lighthearted fare Romano usually works on. This show was darker in tone, had mature storytelling, and more grounded characters than Bugs Bunny. But if anyone was up to the task, it was Andrea Romano. You'd think that Kevin Conroy just walked into the recording studio and just started spitting fire. After all, the dude was a Juilliard-trained actor with a high range and could do this. But Kevin would be the first to admit that he had little knowledge of superheroes and comics. The dude didn't even know who Batman was to begin with. When he auditioned, Conroy didn't quite bring that distinctive edge that would define his legacy. His first read was rather neutral, which didn't immediately grab anyone's attention. The line between live-action acting and vocal acting was even harder back then, and Warner Brothers executives were looking for a more definitive voice for their Batman, someone who can don the cowl and captivate audiences. And Kevin Conroy just wasn't the guy. But before they kicked him out of the door, Andrea Romano, who had a keen ear for discovering unique voices, recognized that Conroy had potential. She knew that comic books and superheroes were a foreign concept to Conroy, so she reworked to frame the Dark Knight into something more digestible, like classic Shakespeare.
This is a Hamlet story. This is a man whose parents have been killed, who's seeking vengeance. And as he brought this kind of elegant take to Batman and Bruce Wayne, it set him a cut above.
This suggestion transformed Conroy's approach, embodying the complexity of Bruce Wayne's duality. Romano and the producers were struck by how Conroy didn't just sound like Batman, but he became the Batman. It wasn't just about sounding tough. It was about embodying a man who had witnessed horrors as a child and dedicated his life to fighting crime.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
It's wild to imagine that Kevin Conroy, the definitive Batman for countless fans, was almost overlooked. Batman the Animated Series wouldn't have been the masterpiece without him. But Kevin's iconic Batman voice might have never even existed without Andrea Romano's keen ear for potential and her unwavering belief in people. Finding the perfect Dark Knight was a daunting task, but the casting of the Joker was easy as pie at first. The original Joker for B-Task was none other than Tim Curry, who already had an affinity for killer clowns.
You float dog!
During his time as the Joker, Curry recorded a few episodes, and his voice was described as
terrifying and lock up the children and don't let them watch.
Oh, that's a joke, right?
However, according to Andrea Romano and others involved in the show, Curry's portrayal was almost too dark for an animated series. His version of the Joker reportedly leaned heavily into the terror, missing the whimsical, maniacal energy that was central to the character's unpredictability. In a turn of fate, Curry fell ill with bronchitis, which hindered him from performing. Warner Brothers executives, already not feeling Curry's performance and not having the patience for him to recover, just fired him from the role. This left Andrea Romano in a bind. From a galaxy far, far away warped in Mark Hamill, and at first the executives were skeptical of Marky Mark. After all, it can be difficult to picture literal space Jesus as the clown prince of crime. But that didn't stop Romano from giving Mark a shot, and of course, the rest is history.
Honey, I'm home!
As Mark Hamill delivered one of the greatest vocal performances of all time. The relationship between Romano and Hamill became one of great collaboration. Hamill himself has often spoke about how Romano encouraged him to take creative risks with the character, helping him fully embrace the role. With Romano's guidance, Mark Hamill's Joker became one of the most beloved interpretations of the character, lasting for decades and influencing countless other portrayals. This casting journey is a testament to Romano's keen instinct, her ability to pivot when necessary, and her understanding of how to balance a character's complexity with performance dynamics. Hamill wasn't the first choice, but under Romano's direction, he became the Joker for many fans. Even having the most star-studded cast means nothing if the vocal direction isn't good. Tobey Maguire, for example, great actor, right? But he lacked vocal direction in the Spider-Man video game, which made the performance flat and awkward.
Are you alright?
Yeah, thanks. You were great back there.
Thanks. I have to go deal with,
Oh, yeah. Thanks again.
No problem. Grab hold of a rogue balloon anytime. Rescuing damsels is my specialty.
A voice director plays a critical role in any animated production, acting as the bridge between the script, the actors, and the final performance that the audience hears. They're responsible for guiding actors to deliver the right emotions, pacing, and tone, ensuring the voice work aligns with the animation and storytelling. In a show like Batman the Animated Series, where mood, emotion, and character depth are paramount, the voice director role is especially crucial. Many of the actors Romano casted were not traditional voice actors, but rather film or theater actors. Voice acting requires a different set of skills, especially when dealing with characters as iconic and larger than life than those in Batman. Romano's direction was key in helping these actors adapt to animation. For example, Romano guided Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., a veteran live-action actor, in developing his voice for Alfred, Batman's butler.
Well, he's a little prissy, a little sardonic.
What the heck am I doing, Alfred? This isn't part of the plan. I must be going nuts.
If I may make so bold, Master Bruce, I'd say quite the reverse.
Zimbalist's calm, warm tone became a counterbalance to Batman's darkness, providing a sense of humanity and heart. Romano helped Zimbalist navigate the unique challenges of voice acting by encouraging subtle, controlled performances that conveyed the wisdom and wit of Alfred without overshadowing the main action.
I know your father will be proud of you, because I'm so proud of you.
Romano was known for her ability to coax the perfect delivery from her actors, always guiding them to stay within the tone of the series. Dark, serious, but also deeply human. In my opinion, one of the most iconic scenes in Batman the Animated Series is Michael Ansano's performance as Mr. Freeze in the episode Heart of Ice. Romano carefully directed him to underplay the emotion, emphasizing the cold detachment in his voice to match the character's tragic transformation into a heartless, ice-cold villain.
Think of it, Batman. To never again walk on a summer's day with a hot wind in your face and a warm hand to hold. Oh yes, I'd kill for that.
However, she also, the subtle layer of sadness and pain came through Ansano's voice, which made the character's backstory deeply resonate with the audience.
I failed you. I wish there were another way for me to say it. But I cannot. I can only beg your forgiveness and pray you'll hear me somehow. Someplace where a warm hand waits for mine.
Ansana's reserved, chilling performance under Romano's direction helped make The Heart of Ice one of the most emotionally charged episodes of the whole series. What set Batman the Animated Series apart from other animated shows of its time was the emotional complexity of its characters, and Andrea Romano was instrumental in achieving that, not just in her casting of the Bat and the Clown, but every character in the series. Her keen ear for casting not only found the perfect voices, but allowed her to pull nuanced, multi-dimensional performances from her actors. She understood that emotional resonance of the characters would make the stories more compelling, and her voice direction brought out that in spades. Romano knew how to push her actors to dig deeper into their roles, turning even the smallest characters like Harley Quinn into the most emotionally rich figures. Andrea Romano's work on Batman the Animated Series set a new benchmark for voice direction in animated television, transforming how characters were portrayed and how emotional depth was delivered in animation. Her meticulous casting choices, such as Kevin Conroy as Batman and Mark Hamill as the Joker, created iconic performances that redefined what was possible for the medium. The way she blended cinematic storytelling with emotional, grounded performances elevated the genre, proving that animated shows could have the same dramatic weight as live-action productions. But Romano's work didn't just stop with Batman. She carried this excellence into other influential series like Avatar: The Last Airbender, a character-driven show where her direction once again brought out these complex, layered performances that resonated with both children and adults. Romano's approach to voice direction, characterized by allowing actors creative freedom within her precise guidance, has influenced an entire generation of voice actors and directors. She established a standard of quality where animated series were no longer just about fun, exaggerated performances, but about finding emotional truth in every line. Directors today continue to follow her practice of casting actors based on their emotional range, unless you're Chris Pratt. Her work has solidified her legacy as one of the most important figures in animation in general, with her contribution shaping the direction of modern voice acting and establishing a high bar for future productions. Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski get a lot of credit for pioneering the show, but people sometimes forget that without Romano, the character we hold near and dear to our hearts would not be the same as they are today. She made careers out of unknown actors and gave superstars a new perspective. Andrea Romano's behind-the-scene work brought emotional depth, tension, and a nuance to every character, transforming what could have been a simple superhero show into something truly iconic. I invite you to revisit your favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series and listen with a fresh set of ears and appreciate the often overlooked role of voice director. Listen closely to how every line is delivered, and you'll find a new appreciation for how Romano's subtle guidance that helped elevate Batman the Animated Series beyond an action cartoon into a masterpiece in the 90s, and how it still carries weight today. I talk a lot about voice actors on this channel, but I never get to talk about the people who helped shape them. In my research about the best Joker voice actors, I was enthralled with who Andrea Romano was, and how little I knew about her. So I wanted to talk about someone who had such a critical role in shaping one of my favorite shows of all time. This has been one of my favorite scripts to write for the channel, and I hope you guys enjoy watching this as much as I liked writing it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and please like and subscribe to help me continue grow this channel. Until next time, fair winds and safe travels.